meeting of the Brookline Select Board for October 21st. The time is 6:31. First up is review changes to the agenda, if any. We'd like to add a new item under 6, we'll call 6E, and that's to increase the town credit card credit limit. So we'll put that at the end of new business as 6E. That is the only change that I saw that we need to make. Gwen, did you have any changes to the agenda?
No.
Bruce, any changes to the agenda? Okay. All right, then moving right along, scheduled members of the public, Sarah Wiswall is on the Zoom call. We're also expecting Samara Zwick to join the Zoom call shortly. Also on the Zoom call at the moment is Fact TV. Here physically in the office are myself, Gwen Tanza, and Bruce Mello. And then we also have Guy Tanza and Mark Bills who are physically here in the office. And there's currently no one else online or in the office. Unscheduled members of the public, there are none either in person or on the Zoom call. Samara is joining, I'll add her. First up is approving the minutes from the October 7th meeting. I'll consolidate the notes and then pass those off to Peter. The only thing, I had a couple of spelling mistakes. There's partway through the statement condemning hate speech, there's an ever that should have been even. Down under road safety, sheriff is missing an F, foreman is missing an E. That was pretty much it for me, other than on this, anything else on page 1, Gwen?
Not that I can see.
Anything else on page 1?
No, I didn't read, I forgot to read the minutes, so.
It's okay.
Okay.
I read them pretty closely.
Okay.
The only thing that I was a little unclear about, on page 2, under the remote in-person meeting structure, in the second paragraph, he says, Mr. Tanzer reported the town clerk and assistant clerk were tested on the guidelines about entering the office for title searches, blah, 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 and on the restricted user guides from the state and CDC, that the policy for use of the office had been in effect 100 years, that the town was complying with state mandates for this and for meetings. Did you really say something about it having been in effect for 100 years?
No.
I don't know what. Okay.
I'd have to listen to the minutes.
I'm gonna go back and listen to the recording and see what you.
If I did,
I think maybe he just misheard you, so I'll make a note to see what.
You might have said that, but it was in jest that he'd been around a long time.
Oh, and that's what, I just didn't even remember.
I don't remember.
Okay, I'll go back and listen to it and see.
Yeah, I may have.
The other thing is common sense doesn't have a space on it in that same area. Ms. Brimmer suggested not operating on a common sense.
Oh, yeah, okay. Yep, okay. I'll fix that. Anything else on page 2 for you, Gwen? Or page 3 for that matter?
I don't think so.
Anything else you noticed, Bruce?
No, I didn't read.
I think everything else was fine. Okay, I'd like to make a motion that we approve the minutes from October 7th as amended. Is there a second?
A second.
Seconded by Gwen. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor of approving the minutes from October 7th as amended signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, so those are approved and I'll get them to. Okay, Samara has joined us on the Zoom call, which brings us nicely to 6A of new business. So I'm going to make a motion that we enter into executive session to discuss the town treasurer position under provision of Title I, Section 313A, subsection 1A. We're going to invite Sarah Wiswall and Samara Zwick, who are on the call, on the Zoom call, to join us in executive session along with Guy Tanza. I'm going to I guess the only other people on the Zoom call at the moment are Fact TV. Fact TV, I'm gonna put you back into the waiting room while we go into our executive session. Mark, I'm gonna ask you to just step out into the other room while we go into our executive session. And then we'll get everybody back in once we're done.
Is that right now?
Yep, I made that long motion to go into executive session. Is there a second to that motion?
A second.
Seconded by Bruce. Any discussion? Okay, all those in favor of moving into executive session signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, so that passes, so we're now going to go into executive session. Okay, moving on to 6B road salt vendor. So I realized that we got we have the formal quote from Cargill that we received. And Mark, I apologize. I don't know that I've ever seen a formal quote from American Rock Salt, but I think you said you saw one or got one, right?
Yeah, I believe the last time we got 3 different prices.
Well, yeah, I mean, we did last year, but I guess, I mean,
But no, I have not seen anything but an email that came about.
I can give him a call tomorrow.
yeah, sorry, I just realized, for whatever reason, I thought we had gotten something from them, but when I was preparing for this, I don't know that I've actually seen a quote from them this year.
Yeah, I thought we had.
We got details last year. I mean, my recollection is we got a letter from them, but I'm only aware of us having gotten a quote from Cargill at this point. So I guess what I would ask is, how are we set for salt at the moment? Do we still have?
There's only a small amount, probably enough to salt our sand, you know, when we get our shed filled. So we probably will need to order soon.
Okay.
I can call American tomorrow for a quote, and they've been very good in responding.
Yeah, they have. I mean, it's, you know, if we had just something,
Yep.
I'd be all over that. So I guess we're probably gonna have to have a special meeting to vote them, because I don't think we're gonna wanna wait until, well, I don't know. I mean, maybe, I don't know, do we think we'd be okay to wait till November 4th? Before we, I mean, do we have enough that if we get something, we have 1 storm's worth of salt?
Yeah, I think 1 storm, but that depends on if our
Depends on
sand
the
supply,
kinds.
if they come fill the sand shed,
We don't have.
they usually use some of that
Makes sense.
to mix in, and if they do that, won't leave us.
Well, or the other thing, like you say, you can call a special meeting for
Yeah,
half a minute and.
Yeah,
if you don't mind, Guy, if you can call
I'll call them
American
and I'll
and get
have
them to
them
send us a
email.
quote, and then we
Yep.
can call a special, we can do it.
Yeah, it's better
over
to be
Zoom.
on the safe
We
side.
can do it over Zoom and quickly vote that, because I mean, my assumption is we've had really good experience with American,
Yep.
so as long as their price
they're very
is as
strong.
competitive as we expect it to be, I think we're all gonna be in favor of
Yeah.
Gordon, would you just put
awarding it
that
to
on?
them, and then we
Okay,
can,
thank you.
and then we can go ahead and
Yep.
be set up. Okay, all right, so that is effectively gonna be probably tabled for a special meeting to get the details worked out. Okay, then moving on to 6C, road line striping / road safety enhancements. So we talked last time, just to refresh my memory, if nothing else, that unless another town is thinking of doing line striping at the same time, the price that you were quoted was 20 cents a foot for the yellow double line, and then essentially 20 cents a foot for both white lines.
Correct. And I did go inspect the road surface, and it is very faded. I would say it's in need if you feel we,
So I drove the paved part of Putney Mountain and drove all of Hill Road a couple days ago and looked at it. My personal opinion, I mean, absolutely the yellow double lines need to be done on everything. I thought all of Hill Road and all of Putney Mountain needs double yellow lines. I'm not sure that we necessarily need to do the double white lines again this time, because on Putney Mountain and on a fair amount of Hill Road, the previously paved sections of Hill Road, the white is honestly, I think, still as visible as it is going to be, probably. So I guess, depending on what our comfort level is with cost, I might be inclined to just do yellow line striping on everything.
Which is what we always had.
Which is what we've had historically. I mean, the white, I do think there's value to doing the white lines. I don't know that we necessarily, it makes cost sense to be doing them every time we do the yellow ones. So I guess the question is, have you gotten any impression from whether anybody else might be doing work with this guy, whether we might get a better price?
I haven't reached out and, to see what else is going on. I haven't seen, anything going on, but I tend to agree with you. I think if you do have a center line that gives you focus that where you're at.
Yeah.
down lane.
Yeah, I mean, the white line is a nice thing to have,
Oh, it was.
but I think it's a little bit of a luxury in comparison to getting the making sure we get the double yellow lines done everywhere. So just to think about that, then I guess we decided it's essentially 3.1 miles of road, which is 16,368 feet. And if we didn't get any more competitive pricing on it from the guy and we just did the yellow double lines, that would be $3,273.60 to do double yellow line striping on all of the paved portions of Hill Road and Putney
So
Road.
we're double it if we look at that.
If we go the white, it doubles it, exactly, yeah, right.
Yeah.
And the thing is that I was hoping at one point when I was looking that there might be like whole sections of Hill Road. I mean, not that I don't know that it would necessarily work this way, but it's very inconsistent where the white is still visible and not visible across both of the roads. So if we did the white, we'd have to do all of it over again. We couldn't really pick and choose to save ourselves anything. And like I say, to me, I don't think I want to spend $6,000, upwards of $7,000 line striping. I'm comfortable with the idea of spending $3,200 line striping. At the moment, obviously, we just had the discussion with Samara. Unfortunately, she hasn't gone through yet to really break apart costs, although as near as I can tell, thinking back on it, the retreatment and line item, other than the paving that we've done, which was an accumulation of essentially paid for by prior years paving budget, we haven't done any line striping in a couple of years at this point.
But we put $30,000 a year in a budget for that particular event.
Right. I think we should be comfortable spending that money to do double yellow lines on Putney Mountain and, I mean, I think we that's a major safety thing that obviously I think we have to do. So all that being said, then I guess I'd like to just make a quick motion that we approve painting double yellow lines on all of Hill Road, double yellow center lines on all of Hill Road and the paved portion of Putney Mountain Road at a cost of 20 cents a foot, estimated to be $3,273. Is there a second to that motion?
I'll second.
Seconded by Bruce. I guess it's just the three of us. Either of you have any concerns about that expenditure?
No, but if we choose to do the white down the road, we can always do it next year, probably at the same price.
Yes. Yeah, my understanding was that the price, the white line striping price was unconnected in some ways to the yellow line striping price.
Okay.
Because he's not doing it all in one pass
Right.
anyway.
Yeah, he's gotta
So
do,
essentially, it's 10 cents a foot to do one white line, 10 cents a foot to do another white line, and 20 cents a foot to do two yellow lines. So we're not, I don't believe we'd be saving ourselves anything by doing it all now or costing ourselves necessarily anything more by
Yeah,
holding off
okay.
and waiting to do the white. Yeah, right.
It might make more sense to do those white lines earlier in the spring so that you can
Yep.
really see the lines
Yes.
longer.
Yes, that's a good
Remember, we're
point.
gonna
It's in
get
the winter.
snow.
and it'd be interesting to see if we have any surplus from this year's budget, from last year's budget,
That's true too.
to see if maybe that could be applied toward the spring
Good
striping.
idea,
Yep,
because it's still this year's budget.
Yep, it's
Yeah.
still,
yeah.
To me, it just makes more sense to do it earlier. so
Earlier,
we
yeah,
a
you'll
lot
get more value of it,
benefit.
because once it starts to get covered by snow, the
What's the
value
point?
of it is
yep.
less.
Snow does a white
Right.
line.
Yeah, that-
Mark,
Mark, are you comfortable with that? Do you have any concerns about
no,
only doing the yellow, or do you think that
I
makes
think
sense?
that's sufficient, yeah, it's all nice, but I think if we just have a center line, that would, make people know which lane they're in, so. I think-
Do we think there's any reason to believe, I know that when we've done it before, I think they've done it in, I think the last time we did it, we probably got it done in November or something like that.
yeah, it was
Do
almost,
we have any reason to believe that he won't be able to get this done yet this season?
Only if the weather should turn to freezing and it stays wet and damp, then, I think that's where he cuts off his.
do you have any idea what his calendar is?
He told me he was a week out at our last
Okay.
meeting. So, he actually called me again, left a message, wanted to know if we were still interested,
Okay.
so.
Okay.
um,
Okay, then I guess, before I forget that we have to vote on it. So, all those in favor of approving double line center line striping on Hill Road and the paved portion of Putney Mountain Road at an estimated cost of 20 cents a foot of netting out to about $3,273, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, so that's approved. So we'll move forward with that on the line striping end of things.
How would you like to go about, awarding him that, to go ahead? Do you wanna, just a phone call, or?
Yeah, I mean, I guess if he's satisfied with just you calling him back and saying,
Do
we
it.
wanna go ahead and do it
Okay.
for Hill Road, and so what do you have to go and mark
He asked,
in
if
advance?
it's new pavement, if I would give him a
Right.
center shot every 30 feet,
Yeah.
so I can do that.
Okay, are you hard to do that? Yeah. So yeah, if you're okay with just calling him and letting him know we wanna move ahead as soon as he can do it, and
Okay,
doing the marking you need to do, that's
yeah,
good.
alright,
that's all right.
I'll contact him tomorrow and
Cool. Thank you.
set
Good.
that up.
Segueing into the road safety enhancement discussion. I've exchanged a few emails with a person at Wyndham Regional Commission who does actually think there are a couple of potential grant possibilities for, he was reaching out to V-Trans about a grant program that they have that he thinks he's pretty sure there's another town that he knows of who's going through a grant process to get a radar sign, to get grant money for a radar sign, just like we're talking about. He also suggested that I reach out, though I have not yet done so, to the sheriff's department, because there's a grant that the sheriff's department actually administrates for traffic safety things. So I guess what I'll say on the radar sign end of things is there are a couple of possibilities of maybe us getting grant money towards that. So I'm gonna pursue those to see where they go for the time being anyway. Did you have a chance to give any more thought to stop bars or?
I didn't go
Any of
anywhere
that?
with it. What I was wondering is if you wanted to go through our town and redo our signs, because I know there was talk about one direction you got 40, the other way it's 35. Do we want to, I don't know if we have to do it through Wyndham Regional to set up their meters, but redo our speed limits so that they're all, you know.
To actually change speed limits or just post more completely the speed
Yeah,
limits we
maybe
have?
move like soon as you turn onto Hill Road when you come to town, coming through by the bus stop, it's 40 miles an hour right off quick, right through by
Yeah.
the
Changes.
buses coming in and out. And then coming the other way, it's 40. So if we slowed that down a little until you got past the bus
Let's see.
station. Yeah. You know, so that's just one situation.
Uh-huh,
And I'm wondering if we look at all of them
yeah.
and maybe before we do anything.
I think that's a good idea. I think probably what we need to do, and we can put this on the agenda for the next meeting, is I think we need to review our, do we call it, I can't remember if it's called just a speed limit ordinance or what our, I mean, we have a written formalized ordinance
Right.
We do.
that lists what our speed limits are on
We
the
have,
various towns where we have them set, which, you know, we added to it when we set one of the limits on the upper part of Putney Mountain Road that didn't exist before, and we added to it when we did Ellen Ware. So maybe we go through and review that and identify whether there are places that we think should be reconsidered. I'm pretty sure if we were to reconsider them, we would then need to do a traffic study.
Yeah, there's
We
some,
would need to have Wyndham Region do a traffic
Yeah, you
study
can't just
for us
arbitrarily
on
change
that
them.
section. We can't just change them, but
yeah, because there was question with the guy who does the actual painting the speed limits in the
Yeah.
road. He was a little confused on how the
Yeah.
speed limits were set up, and they've been there that way for years and years.
Right.
But maybe we should look at them and set them up in a better location, because, you know, we can spend money for signs, and, but like, Joe said,
right.
maybe if we get our signs correct, you know, because there's a proper way of having them so that they can be monitored by the state police or the sheriffs for ticketing. You know, if it goes to court and our sign wasn't properly installed in the right place,
Right.
it doesn't mean anything.
Mhm.
So, and I think he's right, you know, the ones that are gonna speed aren't gonna look at any type of sign, whether it's lit up or whether
Right.
it's painted
Right.
or, so maybe if we.
Although I
get
do
our-
think that the flashing signs have an impact
It-
on
it
that
does.
potentially.
It does.
More so
You're
than
right.
the, what's painted on the road.
Right,
Yeah.
definitely gets your attention.
Yep.
But I think if we upgraded our speed limit numbers and put them where we feel we want people to go slow and where we want them to do 40,
If I remember correctly, when Chris was doing this speed thing on Putney Mountain and Ellenware Road,
Right.
he said there was specific things that had to be done before you can change a sign.
Yeah.
Right, and that's what I mean,
remember what it was.
part of the beginning process of that is we would have to do
Yeah.
Survey.
we would have to do we'd have to have somebody do an actual study, and Wyndham Regional does those.
Oh, okay.
But I think you're right that the very first thing we should probably do is all in a meeting review what the speed limits are for the sections of Hill Road and how we've actually defined it. And see if there are areas that we want to do a study on to see, is it possible that it would make more sense to
just keep it all
lower the
35.
speed limit on that part of Hill Road or whatever.
Yeah.
And then we can go from there with what the process is.
Okay.
I think that's a good idea, Mark. Yeah, I think that's a good idea. We'll put that on the agenda for next time, and I'll dig up where that document ordinance is and circulate it so we all know what we're gonna be.
Should be online.
at. It probably is.
Yep.
Yeah, no, it's true, I'm sure it is. Okay, so then that's
You know,
probably.
the only other
sorry.
part of that, Dave,
Yeah.
was the stop bars. I mean, that's something that's not gonna change if you wanna hire the guy for stop bars. I could,
Right.
if you feel it's necessary. I mean, maybe it's, I did get in our sign inventory, I purchased new, bigger and reflective stop signs, so I will be putting up new stop signs that should be more catchy. They're not faded, and so if you want to just go with them signs and then eventually a stop bar, you know, in the spring.
Yeah, I mean,
That's-
exactly, I think
That's what I was gonna
to
say.
Gwen's
Yeah, you
point,
got
the
the point.
painting, right, exactly, any painting
Yeah, you figure
Now
painting now and
is
then
questionable,
the
right?
plow trucks are rough on.
Right.
Right. Well, and in fairness, I mean, since you've got new stop signs coming in, I think it's worth
Right.
giving those a chance to be more impactful for people before we think about doing something else.
Yeah, I mean, they're
so I
supposed to
think
be
it makes sense to
upgraded
hold off.
to this new, letter size and reflectability, so I've gotten 13, enough to do our whole town with an extra, so, that should help out.
Okay. Okay, so I guess that kind of covers that for now. Moving on to 6D, the grants in aid letter of intent. I'll apologize that I, at the moment, have no idea where that letter is. I thought it was in the select board box, but I can't find it. I just know that we.
Which one was that, David?
This is the letter of intent from V-Trans to participate in the grants and aid program for the upcoming fiscal year.
Oh, okay.
It's a letter that we literally just need to sign and send back to them by the 31st. And I thought it was here, but I can't find it at the moment. But despite that, I'm gonna make the assumption that either we'll be able to find it, or I'll be able to get somebody from V-Trans to email me a copy of it that I can print and sign. So I'm just gonna make a motion though, so we formalize that I would make a motion that we sign the V-Trans Grants and Aid Letter of Intent for the upcoming fiscal year. Is there a second to that motion?
I second it.
Seconded by Gwen. Any discussion? Hearing none. Okay, all those in favor of signing and submitting the grants and aid letter of intent for the upcoming fiscal year signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? At the moment, I know that the funding of that is unclear, but I think they seem to be optimistic that there was going to be funding for it. Okay, now we're moving on to an item that we added, which is 6E, to increase the town credit card credit limit. Guy, do you want to just give a quick re-explanation of
Sure.
the suggestion?
Basically, the reason I'm asking for the increase is that the town was able to secure a grant for $5,000 for elections, and we have to track all the expenses and submit a report in January. So I would like to use the credit card as the vehicle to track all our expenses on. And because we have such a short period of time, the $1,000 we would probably override real fast, because one of the things I'm going to request that we purchase, I'm going to purchase is a laptop for the elections, which is going to be more than, the $1,000. So I spoke with the bank, and they said the resolution had to be signed by the select board and Sarah as the treasurer, and it would increase our line of credit from $1,000 to $3,500. And that's what I'm asking for.
Okay. Anybody have any questions on that before we make the motion?
You're gonna buy a laptop that, you said you're gonna purchase a laptop for it?
That's going to be one of my purchases, yes.
Oh, one of the purchases.
Yes, right. And I'm going to get election signs, I'm going to get security things, anything that's related to elections. We have a $5,000 grant, and hopefully we're also going to get some hours that Gwen and I have been spending many hours beyond things. So that's all incorporated in the grant, and why should the town have to pay for that when we can get it through a grant? But we have a short window of opportunity. All the money has to be expended by December 31st.
Okay,
Okay.
I'm good.
All right, then I'd make a motion that we
Extend it.
sign and approve the business card resolution form for the town of Brookline, which is requesting that the credit for the municipality be extended up to a maximum of $3,500. Is there a second to that motion?
I'll second it.
Seconded by Bruce. Anybody have any questions or any concerns about this? I don't. I think it makes sense. I'm kind of amazed that we actually had a credit card that only had a $1,000 credit limit. That it's even worth their time from a banking standpoint. Okay, hearing no further discussion, then all those in favor of signing and approving the business card resolution form for the town of Brookline from People's United Bank, I should add, requesting that our credit be extended up to a maximum of $3,500, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? All right. Then that has been approved, and I am going to sign this. And we'll give that back to you guys. Okay. All right, moving on to old business. We were going to discuss the remote / in-person meeting structure. I'm going to suggest that we table that since neither Shelby nor Joseph are here.
And in the meantime, we could just use the guidelines by the state.
Right, exactly, which Guy recirculated that, some clarity on what the requirements are, and we'll reiterate that anybody who comes into the town office has to sign in that they've been here for contact tracing purposes should the need arise, and that, while we are here in the office, we are all maintaining distance and or wearing face coverings. But we'll table that for the next meeting and maybe get into discussing the remote aspects of that policy. Okay, 7B solar generator. Guy,
I haven't had any response from them. I've called them 3 times, and I know they're very busy. But as as I said, it's probably going to require the town to do a long-term commitment, and I'm not so sure it's the best avenue for us to go down. But it's something we need to look at and see if we can, in fact, if it fits the town. So I'm still going to pursue it, and eventually they're going to get tired of me calling them.
Who is this group?
Pardon me?
Green Mountain Power.
Green Mountain.
Green Mountain Power, yes.
So it's like a Tesla battery?
Yeah.
Yep.
I heard talk of one and I wasn't sure if that's.
Yeah. Yeah, Gary Livornia had suggested that it might be something that we should look into, and guys made a few efforts to get a hold of Green Mountain Power and talk about it, but nobody's, they're very busy. It's understandable, but nobody's gotten back to them yet.
Great.
Okay, moving on to 7C, building update. Mr. Mello, what's going on?
First thing, I sent you all an email that Don had sent me. And that was a 17 peaceful towns in Vermont that offer nothing but peace and quiet. And we were number 4 on the list. I don't know if you all got that. You all saw this?
Yeah.
Yeah, so,
I just wanted to make a statement about it. And I noticed that Lilac Bush really being small, the Brookline school sign, which is in the basement. Maybe it'll be in a historical part of the church one of these days. But what really killed me more than anything else, other than the 2 people I didn't know who they were that were hugging, was the shine on that door. That really annoyed me. So I'm kind of hoping that I can resurrect the building and make it look like that. But whatever. That's that. I have a few things that went on. The source protection is completed and signed and sent back to the Department of Water. The lady, I think her name now, not Heather Collins, but the lady who worked with me directly, was absolutely wonderful. And Dot really spearheaded me in the right direction, so I didn't have to spend a lot of time doing it. I don't think I had 45 minutes other than coming down here and getting the thing sent through with you guys. It really went well, so. But the one thing is we were late, and I didn't know this until it was brought to my attention by Heather Collins this summer. So I went over this with a lady that helped me complete it, and she said it'll be due again in January of 2023, and she would highly recommend that we just get it done in December, just before and get it out. So I'm
Get it done in December of 2022.
and she suggested that I put it on the minutes of our select board meeting, but I'm gonna do better than that. When I get the board or the loose leaf book or whatever I put into the school /daycare, the water system, when I get everything else completed, I'm gonna put a copy of this with it and say it needs to be redone December 2022 for January 2023.
Yeah.
So we don't go through this again. I was totally unaware that we had a deadline, and it didn't hurt anything, but there's no sense in begging the issue.
Yeah, right, exactly.
Okay.
Thank you for doing that. And thanks to Dot for
Oh, you think?
having all that
Thank you.
information and being such a help with it.
Okay, a couple other things, nothing too major. First of all, I had a little bit of interesting discussion with Olivia, that was pretty interesting. They're going through some changes there. Jess has now quit. She was made director, now she quit. And the way it was put to me today was to be closer to where she lives, which I don't know where it is, but whatever. That's their problem. But I had this discussion with Olivia about the flooring that we discussed, that she was trying to get us to foot the bill on. And I discussed it with her, and we had quite the discussion about it. And I said, you don't need to replace this floor. In all the 3 rooms, there's 1 tile that needed to be replaced. Says you can strip it, do anything wrong with this vinyl tiling, and dress it up, because she was having a problem with the cleanliness and the looks. Even though underneath the counters, it was filthy, but whatever, that's their problem. But it came up of the expenditure of the lease on that building, and she was under the, and I understand what she, being on, I'll explain, being on the board for 6 years, where this was coming from, which was, she was under the understanding that we need to spend all the money from the lease on the building. And I went, time out, no. I remember this coming up in 2014, 2015, and 2016, and we looked into it. And I believe I have the information at home someplace, and I believe it was VLCT that responded to it. And we got, because I remember Stan was involved in it too, and he was really paranoid that we had to spend the money on the building, so on and so forth. But what it ended up to be was that was not the case. What we can't do is we can't open up a daycare right here to compete with her.
Exactly.
Right? So we can't, I remember the whole discussion now that started, was starting to click back. That's what we have to be concerned about. we cannot compete with her.
Right.
But any money that's available that comes out of that lease is
It's the
our
town's
choice to
money.
do what we wanna do with it.
It's the
Whether it
town's
be
money.
return to the taxpayers, work on building, whatever the town and or the select board chooses to do. So I straightened her out on that a bit and to made her understand, and then we also had a discussion about the outside decking that we had just fixed, even after the same one facing the church that Dave Shaw did damage and Dave Zalesko fixed for no real any cost. She wanted to make a change to it, and I made a better solution for her, so she would have to change that decking. Okay. I have to bring Dave Zalesko in for another couple hours. I noticed a broken sash cord off the weight. That's it, for him. I haven't called him yet about it. It's really small stuff, but, for some reason it snapped, or we didn't replace that one with a new one. I don't know, I'd have to ask Dave. Okay, I'll move on. I made an appointment, actually Jeffers called me on the same day, and I was trying to reach them last week to schedule an appointment for yesterday to do the
I
boilers.
saw your email.
Yeah.
Okay. And, you've read it,
Yeah,
okay.
sure.
Long story short, they didn't appear yesterday. I called them up around noon. She said, well, we have to get Joey and the other guy together, and when we do, we'll be over. They never showed up. I was diligent in that I went over to Susie's, made them aware that they were coming, that I wanted to be called when they got here. They had my phone number, they had my email, nothing. Then I called again, mid-afternoon, I got Susie on the phone, nothing. Okay, the end of the day, I went over there, talked to Michelle at the end of the day, she's the cook, nothing. And they all understood, call me, but anyway, they still haven't been here, that was yesterday. So I floated them an email, I tried to call both their numbers, got voicemails. So I floated them an email, I'm waiting for the response. I'm sure it'll come to pass, I don't know what the hell is going on, but I need to be involved in it because we had a leak issue from the Grunfell's pump, gaskets need to be replaced, and we had that water hammering issue, and the filter issue with filters, I wanna see what they're replacing. You brought that up, Guy, last time about the filter up in the attic. I wanna know exactly what filters they had replaced last year, because Joey told me he did it. So I didn't remember exactly which ones needed to be replaced. I'm on it, we'll find a lot of resolution to it. Okay, then Mark did a good job and got all the bulbs done in the place. There are 198 bulbs in that building. I don't know how many you replaced, but you used the box.
Over 40.
Whoa! Whoa, whoa. Yeah, but what was my...
Big difference.
Yeah, I have...
There's just one section that new bulbs when it didn't come on. Rest of them all.
Where, downstairs?
No, in the toddler room there.
In the toddler room.
Yeah, I got it on paper here. It's
Wouldn't work.
infant toddler room, third light fixture from
Wouldn't work.
front row. Yeah,
So that's this, you said, not infant room, or the infant room?
yeah.
The first room?
I think there's 3 rows and it was like third one down.
Okay.
But
Okay.
everything, it was so bright in there, I don't think it even noticed, but there was so many out
Yeah.
that these new ones are so bright and
Oh.
nice that it made a huge difference in every room. The basement,
Yes, I
there
noticed.
was a lot of.
I turned it on. Oh, what did you do with the old bulbs?
I put them in the box that I completely used up, and just as you step up into the storage room, they're on the left. I didn't want to put
I
them
didn't
with
see
the
'em.
new ones.
I was gonna take them with me to take them to Wyndham Solid, just as
I
quick
wrote right
steps.
on the box, no junk, blown bulb.
Where, near the basin sink?
Yeah, I think
Okay.
I put them there.
I didn't see them there, okay.
But it's the only box that's open and there's a third of them exposed.
Okay, I don't know, I don't see them, but whatever, I didn't see them, stupid. Me and Mark and I are still gonna have that day that we spoke about last time about doing some stuff on the building. But I haven't, and we're also gonna fix your problem in here.
Yeah, I talked to Mark a little bit about it.
But I've been thinking about even more so, and I'm thinking more like a 3-prong attack. You probably told her about
I just told him we were gonna look tonight.
Tommy Cat,
Yeah, he told me about the little
Yeah.
biscuits.
Nice food, too.
that, fixing the door, but I'm also gonna see about insulating the bulkhead. Because I remember when we looked at it, it was all
That's
lit
where
up.
they're coming in.
Yeah, they walk right in, step right in.
Well, that's
You know,
where
have
all
a
the
party.
brew is.
What?
That's where all the brew is.
Yeah, so we're gonna get to it, hopefully in the next several weeks. I just have to get some of my personal staining
Well, I
done.
set some traps down there today, so.
Okay, because I'm really cutting it close with the time value of what I'm doing. One more thing, on the day we do all this, I wanna add one more thing. If it's okay with you, I haven't spoken to you about this.
Right.
About 6 weeks ago, I went through a recommendation what to do with the round schoolhouse. We're looking at an hour in there. Do you think you could do simple stuff?
Yeah.
What I'm asking to do is basically vacuuming up and lincerating some of the holes. If you did that, I'll dedicate some of my personal time to clean the windows. I think there's 3 in that building, I believe. I'll clean the windows after you're done,
Right.
and we get it done. If I wait for the historical commission to make a determination when they're gonna do it, the building will be falling down. I don't wanna be negative, but I don't see any response. I'll just leave it at that. So,
So what you're gonna do is stuff that Steve Haskins
yes,
suggested be done,
yes,
right,
exactly.
related to that.
And clean.
And some cleaning.
And we haven't addressed the issue of the humidity, which we really need to talk about more because of the books in there.
Yeah.
Some going back to 1900, I really think that, it would be prudent to address that, but we can do that going forth a little bit.
Yeah.
Okay, I think I got everything.
I wanted to make a recommendation over there at the round schoolhouse. Somebody cut behind it, did a really nice job and exposed, it'll definitely keep it drier
Drier.
and it's more visible. But when you're coming north to south, we took the big ash tree down, it was a hazard to the structure itself, but there's several trees
Right.
now that are, easy to take down, and eventually they're gonna get big and shade the place again,
I want that.
and I know that it's on the neighbor's property that owns the brick house, and she gave us permission to take down the big
Did
ash
she?
tree. And I
Oh.
personally talked to her, and she says, cut anything you want in that corner. She said, feel free to, and I think if we did it now and maintained it, we'd be further
Lot better
ahead.
I
off.
think that's a really
Cut
good
that
idea.
brush, because then people coming down through, you
Yeah,
can
you see it more, and it just prevents a few
Moss,
years
yeah,
from now,
yeah.
it becoming more of a
Becoming an
problem,
issue,
and just
yeah.
being something that's we're gonna have to cut down later.
And we do have the permission
Yeah.
to do something, so now would be the time to,
We could do that along with what the other stuff, if we don't run out of too much to do. We don't have a lot to do, the stuff that the big part was the bulbs, and you've done that. How long did that take? That took you a while.
altogether like 6 hours.
Yeah, wow.
Yikes.
Wow.
Yuck.
Up the ladder down.
Oh, head.
I mean, Mark, I assume you're comfortable taking those down? There's no, I mean, 'cause they're not,
Yeah, I
they're
would-
small and they're not
right.
really near anything, and,
Right.
okay.
Yeah, I'm gonna bring one of my 2 chainsaws, we'll zip that right on. You know what?
I think that'd be a great idea,
Okay.
Yeah,
yeah, I think that's.
Open it up,
I
keep
think
it
that
open.
totally makes sense.
Now
to me
that the other side is done, it would just all fit together.
Yeah, right, right, and like you said, they're at a point now where they could be taken down easily, whereas if we wait too long, they might become more
They'll
problematic.
become a tree that you'd have to
Yeah.
clean down.
Yeah, which we don't wanna get into that situation again.
And I just wanted, since Bruce is on this topic here, the schools and buildings, when I was doing the bulbs, Bruce, I realized that those thermostats are hanging out of the walls. There's 3 of them.
Uh-huh.
And I don't know if you need an electrician to
Yeah.
take care of that, but I feel like that could be something if a kid was playing with it.
You're absolutely correct, and I've been knowing this for a year. And as I told you guys, part of my plan was get the plumbing done, get the electrical done.
That's more.
That's a part of it. I don't want hanging wires. I don't want zones that don't work. I don't want lighting that doesn't work. I want the building 100%. And if I find something like, thank you, I try to change the one down at the bottom of the stairs.
I think the
I had no
whole,
power.
Yeah.
I couldn't get hot. I was like, what the hell is this? No hot, no nothing. And I said, that's
Maybe it's
it. I'm not a
disconnected.
licensed electrician. What?
Maybe it's disconnected.
Who knows?
yeah,
Not my problem. It's, I'm not insured, I'm not an electrician.
No, you need an electrician.
Yeah, we need to.
Let an electrician do it. I wired my own house. I don't know what's in those
maybe the
walls.
hole's bigger than the unit, and that's why it's been kind of fudged to, it's not staying in place, so it might need a little sheetrock repaired or.
That's easy to do. I know how to patch. I just did it in wall and pipe or whatever. But as you go in the big room, where we have town meeting, right on the right hand side, there's a junction box hanging there, and that had no juice either. So I don't know what the hell they did.
Well, so many things have been changed and.
Yeah, there may just be some obsolete things.
Yeah, so I'll let an electrician worry about it. I ain't gonna do it anywhere. Okay, that's it. I'm good.
Cool, all right, thank you. Mr. Tanza, moving on to summary reports, what's going on, town clerk?
Just that we've been extremely busy with the voting, with the upcoming election. We now have over 130 returned ballots, and I'm looking that we have 437 registered voters. I'm looking at possibly as close to 375 to 400 people voting. So it's been very good and it's been very busy.
Boy, you see what's happening in the country.
Yeah, right.
They're quadruple.
And in our town, we're very fortunate, we do have a secure place for the ballots to be deposited. We have the post office, which has been working very well. So anyone who wants to, I advocate that we do the early voting so that people don't have to wait in line here. It's safer, it's a safer environment for all concerned. So those who still are sitting on the edge about whether to come here or not prior to the election day, I strongly urge you to put your ballot in the mail or drop it off here in the mail slot. By the same token, we will be open on election day. The regular polling hours are from 9 a.m. to 7 p.m. And if you want, please bring your absentee ballot with you. That'll make things a lot easier for us.
Okay.
So, and we're busy also with a number of title searches. There's been a number of sales or potential sales, refinancing and so forth going on, given the line of interest right now is so low that people are, reacting to that. And people also want to move out of the big cities. But we're doing very well.
Okay.
Awesome, thank you. And I guess just a reminder for the few of us that are here, so election day
Yes,
is
the same
obviously going to
team.
happen the day before our next meeting.
Yes,
So those of us who were in teams
right.
last time are
Be
all
the same.
planning on being here that night.
And I'm gonna give
Now again, you're
a
gonna do a little,
personal refresher
Talk
to
through
a couple of
first.
people.
yeah. so we're
To
all
make
on
sure
the
that
same
we're all on
page.
the same page, because this is important. I figure we have 5 teams. Each team will get 3 25 ballot batches. You should be out of here within an hour and a half, 2 hours. No, it's one ballot, it's only
Right.
one ballot.
Yeah.
Right.
Two-sided, because we have
Two-sided,
the
'cause the
JPs on the other side.
Yeah.
If you have 400, how many teams did we have last time?
We have 437 registered
5.
voters, but,
We had 5 teams?
yep, 5 teams.
So that's at least 3 times.
That's what.
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying,
Yeah,
and that's 25 each, and that's relatively easy.
Great.
It's one ballot, you don't have to mess with it.
Yeah.
But we'll review that, but
Right.
I've spoke to everyone so far, everyone seems to be on board. I'm just hoping that stays the same, because I really don't want surprises on election day.
yeah.
But we'll do what we have to do.
We have 130 now, it's 437 registered voters. You're thinking 350, 375?
I'm thinking about 375. In 2016, we had 367, and that's without sending out all the absentees. But there's some people just don't want to vote, some people don't vote, or
Yeah,
whatever.
Right. Okay, cool, thanks for that guy. Mark, what's going on with you?
Oh, been very busy, around town here. First of all, with a grant that needed to be finished up, on the Athens Road, the segments that are the Clean Water Act. I met with Jeff Nugent there, and he showed me what needed to be done to be eligible for the grant money. So I took the machine up and we cleaned ditches and added the big ditch stone to slow down the erosion, and took the berm off the roadsides and seeded and hayed the whole area. So then I called Jeff and told him whenever he could get up here
Okay,
to
great.
inspect.
Thank you for doing that. Sorry that I bailed on you going
No,
over the other
that's
day.
not a problem at all. We got it all under control, I believe, and appreciate you setting that up. And so basically I've got a list that continues all the time, but I've been checking things off with this machine. It's been so helpful. We also were planning to get a grant for Parker Road, which didn't happen yet. There's some steps to the grant that needed to get done with the Green Mountain Power, removing trees so that we can create a better ditch, and then that ditch will get stone lined. But they're also, after the trees are gone, gonna move the power line, which runs right down the middle of the road. So it's tough to do your excavations with all the trees and wires there. However, from Interfire's new access driveway to their new facilities, we did clean and applied ditch stone down to the culvert that needed to get done. So that's now finished. The chicken coop is portable, that was blocking the other side. I did reach out as far as I could and made a big silt pond so that anything that comes through won't plug the culvert. And I told them once they're done, I'll
And we'll
continue
do the ditch and all that, right? Cool.
Added some gravel to the road. I also have made plans, there's just a long stretch from one culvert to the next out near Grassy Brook Road that has no place for the water to escape the ditches. So we made a plan to add a new plastic 18-inch culvert under the road, and I've been prepping. I've got the culvert there, the gravel's there. I'm just waiting for, tomorrow's gonna be the day the new culvert will go in, and then we can add more gravel to the entire length of that to create a crown, and it should make a good improvement with drainage.
Great.
I also have been doing a lot of sign work around town. The machine, I've been towing the supplies with me, the posts, the signs. Don't have to make 2 trips with a vehicle. So I dig the hole, apply the sign and the sign post, and that's working really well. I'm working down at the intersection of Putney Mountain. I've got 2 large signs that say Grassy Brook Road, Putney Mountain Road, arrows, with another 2-sided Grassy Brook sign that goes east and west. The posts are in, and I ran out of time today, but I'll have those up tomorrow. Like I said, I got lots of stop signs to put up. Merrill Drive's getting a new sign. Kirsch Road, I've got new stop signs and posts for there. I've been noticing a lot of silt has come off Kirsch Road, and then it divides out each intersection road in sets. So I dug away and created an escape for ponding water on the south side, and on the northern exit inlet also created a swale ditch so that generally the water comes down and then it just makes over the berm and sheets across the road. And so I've created a berm to slow that down. And then down at Jimmy Rogers' driveway, we've got an ongoing issue with the brook will jump the bank and come into Grassy Brook Road and down, so I created a big waterway, so if it does it again, it should stay on its own side, going back to the brook. I did that today.
Cool.
I put out quite a bit of the millings that we saved from the paving process. I've had a lot of people inquire on, is that for sale, is that for sale? And I said, well, we're using it, that's part of our deal. So I put it into the new paved areas, the aprons, and I still have places around town that will use up some of that. And I'm not gonna get it all used up before winter, but what I don't get used up, I've asked if Clark's would bring their big bucket loader up and just push it up into a consolidated corner. Into
So
a
it's out of
pile.
the way for the shed work
Yeah,
and stuff.
because
Yeah.
if I don't get to use it all this year, come springtime, I would like to apply it to different places that'll make it.
It doesn't harden up over the winter?
It'll loosen right back up. It's
Yep.
not, there's nothing, no binder in it other than what was in it originally, so it does pack very well, but it'll loosen back up the minute you dig into it and start spreading it. So it's great stuff. And I'm sure there's lots of other things that I'm not thinking of, but yeah, everything's going well. And the machine's only here till Friday, so I'm trying to scratch off as many of these items
Yeah,
as I
right.
can that are needed for a machine. So I think we're gonna be in good shape by the time the ground freezes.
Great.
I'll also end up taking the grader out and just, probably the number one priority will be Whitney Hill and Athens Road, where a few potholes came with the rain. Putney Mountain, that's the other thing, I applied more gravel to the top of Putney Mountain. That didn't get any for most of the summer, and last time I scraped, I was getting right into ledge and base gravel, big rocks. I'd have to get out and roll the rock down over the bank and then shovel a hole in. So we've applied gravel over these places to make it a nicer road. And so, yeah, that's it.
Nice, awesome, thanks, Mark.
Yep.
Okay, moving on to communications. Emails. Guy, thank you for printing that paperwork about for the contract. We did get the contract for the Better Roads grant, the Parker Road grant that Mark made mention of. And Samara has actually also printed it out, and I've signed that, so that'll go back. So we'll be all set to do our work on Parker Road. And other than that, that was about it of substance for emails, I think, that we haven't already talked about somewhere else. Physical mail, we have a letter from Donald Goki, dated October 7th, saying to the Select Board of Brookline, please accept my resignation from the lister's position.
Oh, boy.
Best regards, Donald Goki. Okay, so Donald has resigned from the listers.
So now we have two, Marcia and,
And his wife,
what?
and Sheila.
Sheila's still, right? Yeah, so we'll, yeah, that's,
And
is that true that it's just the two of them now?
Marcia's there.
Neither one.
So that's something, obviously, as we start to get closer to town meeting, we should try to think of drawing up some lister interest along with.
Gwen, remind me to take Don Goki's name off the website, please.
Then we also have something from the town of Newfane. From
He does good
the,
sheetrock.
office of the select board.
Really good.
This
Animal
is
control
from
officer.
in reference to animal control officer. It says, "Dear neighbors, at our most recent Newfane Select Board meeting, the board members discussed contacting our neighboring town select boards to see if there is interest in sharing your animal control officer with Newfane.
What?
With the resignation of our animal control officer last November, there has been no one willing to assume these duties.
Wow.
There is money available to compensate for the time and work done for the town of Newfane. We look forward to hearing from you on this matter." I will reach out to our animal control officer
You better not. That's gonna hit the roof.
and find a very
Tactful way.
tactful way of just, I mean,
Reply.
I think I know what the response from the animal control officer would be. I think I know what my response feeling would be as a board member, which is, I think, for anyone who's watching this, we have our hands full just being able to deal with animal control issues in our own town. I don't think we're in a position to be offering assistance to any other towns. But we'll ask the question and give it some consideration, and then respond to them once we've done that. And that's signed sincerely, Winetta Powling, who is the administrative assistant.
But that reemphasizes the problem that all towns are having, finding
Yes,
qualified staff.
Exactly, right. Everybody is in a,
Good catalogue.
well, it's just, it's like we've said with all kinds of things, it's very hard to find people to do lots of things in all of these towns. Okay, so that was that. We got something from the American Red Cross, which is marked.
I think it's an appropriation request.
An appropriation request, and it is, they respectfully request an appropriation of $250. We will discuss this along with other appropriation requests when we get to that point. I will put that back in our folder. Then we also have probably another appropriation request from Vermont Family Network. Vermont Family Network empowers and supports all Vermont families of children with special needs. Formed in 2008. I'm not sure that I'm aware of us having gotten an appropriation request from them in the past. They're writing to us to ask for support in continuing to serve families in Brookline and throughout the state with an appropriation of $250.
That might be the one, there was another one that was discussed, I think that's the place. I think there was one.
This doesn't ring a bell to me.
Yeah, I don't remember us ever having.
Anyway, we'll discuss that along with other appropriation requests when we get to, which I'll also say, not that we have to figure this out now, I'm gonna put it on the agenda for the next meeting to just plan out the budget planning. I think unlike last year, this year, my suggestion will be once we have final numbers from the last fiscal year and I can get the spreadsheet set up, we will have a special meeting just to go through the budget rather than trying to do it in meeting after meeting.
One or two meetings, yeah.
We'll do one special meeting to go through all of it in one go and be done with it. Because it's the better way to do it. That's how we should have done it last year. But, so that's it for regular mail, which brings us to pay orders. And first up is the payroll warrant, which I came in and signed on Wednesday of last week. We'll do our usual thing. Gwen, do you have any questions on the payroll warrant?
No.
Bruce, do you have any questions on the payroll warrant? Okay. There's still no one else online. Then I'd like a motion that we approve payroll warrant 2020-68 dated October 14th, 2020 in the amount of $2,056.43. Is there a second?
You got it.
Seconded by Bruce. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of approving payroll warrant 2020-68 dated October 14th, 2020 in the amount of $2,056.43 signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? The payroll warrant is approved. Then we have the accounts payable warrant. Gwen, do you have any questions on the accounts payable warrant?
No.
Bruce, do you have any questions
no.
on the accounts payable warrant?
Look at it twice, no.
Then I'd make a motion that we approve accounts payable warrant 2020-70 dated October 20th, 2020 in the amount of $12,807.53. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Seconded by Gwen. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor of approving accounts payable warrant 2020-70 dated October 20th, 2020 in the amount of $12,807.53 signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? All right, and the accounts payable warrants is also approved, which brings us down to setting the agenda for the next meeting. So we'll talk about budget planning just from a standpoint of maybe putting a date on, identifying a date when we want to have a special meeting to deal with budget.
Okay.
We will review the speed limit structure and contemplate whether we want to start the process of adjusting any of that. We will discuss the remote meeting structure. We'll have the usual topics. I guess I'd also say we should probably put on there treasurer discussion.
Should we, maybe it's not applicable, have this done in executive session, or do you want to do this out live? Before you answer my question, I just want to say, I'm becoming extremely more uncomfortable with what's going on, for a number of reasons which we don't want to get into now. But I'm just wondering if we should do it privately, get it straightened out amongst us, without Samara, without Sarah, the board discuss it, get a structure set up in place, and then move forward, invite them in, and go that way.
Well, I guess what I'll say is I wasn't necessarily thinking that this was a discussion that involved them. That I think it's more a discussion to, be able to bring Shelby and Joseph into the conversation and to have a general discussion of what should the select board's role be in preparing for a transition of treasurer in a general way.
Okay, but I also wanted to pursue a little bit further than that we should start considering structuring this a little bit more defined. If you asked me what does the town treasurer do, I'd be like, okay, well, maybe he does this, maybe they do that. I guess what I'm trying to say is the job definition needs to be a little bit more clear, and so that when we tie somebody in, we can say, you're gonna have to do this, you're gonna have to do this with the bank structure.
Well, that's where Samara said that she can come in and give an idea of what that treasurer.
Well, and I think it's a fair idea that perhaps the starting point of this discussion in our context is to talk about, okay, statutorily, what is the responsibility of the treasurer? Because the state lays down what the bottom line responsibilities of elected treasurer are. So maybe we refresh or freshen everybody's memory and understanding of what that is before we get too far into deciding where we come in contact with that.
And to be honest with you, the treasurer, who's an elected person, is really the one who's in charge of what her destiny is and what she wants to do. If she should resign and the board accepts her resignation, then the board can appoint someone, but right now, she is the one who's basically in charge.
Yeah, okay, but I think we should consider tightening it up a little bit so there's better clarity. So if we're offering this position to somebody else, we can say, this is what you're gonna need to do. I think we should revisit the amount of hours that are involved. It came up, she mentioned it. She said, well, it's a part-time position, but it really isn't. And that's, I think, what part of what Sarah got blown away with. And don't forget, it was Samara that recommended Sarah, she'd be great for the job. So I'm not pointing fingers, but you're either part of the problem or you're part of the solution. And I don't see the solution coming.
Well, right, I mean, like, and I agree that, I mean, ultimately, yeah, let's put it on the agenda so that we can have a little bit of a discussion of, like we say, what are we could get some clarity, and maybe Guy, you could help us
I'll
I
call
wrote
the
it down already.
as far as just getting, okay, like what are the actual state
Statutory.
mandated statutory? And then also, because I understood Samara's point about how we can get involved by getting a bookkeeper, but that to me is a scenario that I don't particularly want us to be getting into unless we don't have a treasurer. But the reality is we do have a treasurer and we want to try to find someone to be the treasurer. And to your point, if the treasurer has responsibilities, and I don't particularly think we should change those responsibilities unless we have
No, I
an
just meant to make
alternative.
it clear.
Yes, exactly, and that's what I mean,
Because-
and which is why clarifying what are those
Right,
responsibilities.
what are you gonna do?
From a state standpoint, then we know this is what the job entails.
Because Sarah had a
Either
complaint about
someone
that.
wants to do it or they don't.
Sarah
based
brought
on-
that up to me personally. She was blown away. So I didn't know, there's a lot of that
Yeah.
going on.
Yeah.
And I think clarification, maybe rediscussion of the money, rediscussion of the amount of time that it takes, and a realistic conclusion to those two issues as a part of the discussion.
Yeah, okay, so we'll put it on and we'll have a little, without getting into specifics about any individuals, we'll have
No.
a general conversation about the position and our
And
relationship.
final note,
Yeah.
I'm thankful Samara's helping us. I mean, she could have said,
Oh, yeah, no.
Exactly.
your deal, guys.
I know, when I spoke to her, she,
Yeah.
it took a little bit of badgering, and I think Samara's heart was in the right place. I mean, she really thought
Yeah.
that the people that were interested,
Yeah,
but
and they-
you never know.
And they wanted to be
Yeah.
able to do this as well, just like with anything. Sometimes you get into a situation.
Sometimes it
and
just doesn't work
It's
out.
not what you thought it was going to be or whatever, the pandemic and lots of other things have changed
Everything.
a lot of things for everybody, so it's not an unusual situation to be in right now. So anyway, so we'll have budget planning, review speed limits, remote meeting structure, discussion about treasurer, the usual stuff. Anything outside of that, Glenn, that you can think of at the moment?
No, but I just wanted to plant a little seed. Samara and I discussed this about calculating interest for this tax period. And it was the consensus of Samara and I, and the select board has the authority because of the pandemic, that we can waive interest for taxes for this one quarter, for the simple reason that it ended on September 29th, the quarter's kind of messed up.
Right.
So we would like to go forward and start calculating interest with the November 15th payment when things get back to normalcy. So I just, the select board has that authority to waive that interest. And if the select board wishes to do that, they can, maybe you can put that on the
Okay,
select board.
Okay.
so is that technically, that's just the first quarter?
Yes, the first quarter. Basically, we had the payment due on September 29th.
Right.
And it normally should have been August 15th, so just to get everybody on the same page, and some people who paid late maybe have been confused, but by November 15th, we are back to our normal structure, and maybe we could start calculating interest there. I don't think it's gonna amount to a great deal for the town, but I think it's also showing the passion that the town has for the understanding.
Okay, yeah, we'll put that on the agenda. That's a good idea. Okay, anything else, Bruce, that you can think of?
No, I'm good.
Okay. All right, then I would make a motion that we adjourn. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Seconded by Bruce. All those in favor of adjourning signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Don't do it this time. Okay, we are adjourned at, I'm gonna call it 8:28.